Well, welcome to a complaint-free world. How many of you have your little purple bracelet on? I had a friend stop by last night and had to take the one off my wrist to give to her because she wanted one right away. And what the whole idea, of course, is that it's to help us become aware of our thoughts and our subsequent words that we speak that could be in the form of a complaint. I have been wearing mine for 10 days, and I'll have to say that I am on day 3. Isn't that good? It's pretty early in the day yet. No.
We're not complaining.
Not complaining. No, I'm very happy. At some days I've been on day 1 several times during the day. And when you do a complaint, what you have to do is you have to take the bracelet and literally move it over to the other arm, the other wrist, because that helps you really be aware of what it is you're doing. And that's the whole theme of it. It's based on a book by Will Bowen and called The Complaint-Free World. And he talks in the beginning about there's 4 stages to anything that you become competent at. 4 stages of competency. It's the accent has to be on the right syllable. Thank you. So the 4 stages are unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence. That's where most of us are with this whole thing of being aware of if we're complaining or not. Then you become conscious of your incompetence. See, that's what we're working on. We're becoming conscious of our incompetence. Then there is conscious competence. You're aware that you're aware. And the last stage is unconscious competence. Unconscious competence. You don't even have to think about it anymore. It just is an automatic. It's just happening. It's there. So those are those 4 stages of anything in life. Whatever it is, riding a bicycle, doesn't matter. Those are those 4 stages that we all go through if we're going to become competent at anything. So we're going to become competent at not complaining. It works the same way. The first thing we have to do is become aware. Aware of it. First thing in anything in life. So our lesson this morning is called Complaining and Its Effects. And what I wanted to talk about in particular is how the complaining affects our health. The health of our bodies, our physical bodies, and the health of our relationships, right? Will says that we complain for the same reason we do anything. What's that? Because we want to receive a benefit from it. We want to receive a benefit. And what are the benefits when we start complaining about our health? Well, we get sympathy, right? Oh, you poor thing. And we get attention. I will have to say, one of our congregants is not with us this morning. I got a text from her, and she's doing this program. And she said, I won't be there today. I have a toothache. And I replied, oh, naturally. Am I on day 1 again? I was saying, the toothaches are not fun. That's what I said. Oh, toothaches are not fun. And we'll miss you. And she answered back, nope. So I have to commend her because I don't think she was complaining that she had a toothache. She was just stating a fact. I've got it. I won't be there. I've got a toothache. Nope, they're not fun. Simple. It's doable. We can do this. We have to get out of the habit, though, of falling into that rut of, sympathy and so forth and so on. So Will tells a story in the book about one of his congregants that he visited in the hospital. She had had a stroke. And Before he went to visit her, he stopped at the nurse's station. Well, how is she, can you tell me how she's doing? Oh, yes, she had a stroke, but she's going to be fine. She's going to be out of here in a few days. She's going to go to rehab, and, this isn't, a big deal. Oh, good. So he goes in to visit with her, and the first thing she says is, "I'm dying." And he goes, no, I just talked to the nurse. You're fine. You're going to get over this. She goes, "No, I want to talk to you about how I want my funeral to go. I want to tell you all of the details of it now." And he goes, "Well, you can tell me those if you want, but we're not going to need it for quite a while. You're going to be fine. You're going to be just great." And she went on to just insist on the fact that, no, I am dying. This is not happening, so forth. And so he, of course, took his notes and everything that she wanted him to know. And he goes back out and he's again said, "She says she's dying. Did I get the wrong?" She goes, "No." She said, "Well, she may think that, but honestly, she is ready to go to rehab. There's no reason for her to, die over this." He said in 2 weeks, he performed her funeral service. She obviously was ready to make her transition. And we all have that choice. We all have that opportunity to say, when am I done here? Even if there's no good reason for it. I believe that every soul comes to this earth and leaves this earth on the perfect right timing. But it's also good to be aware, am I talking myself into something that isn't necessarily the case? What we think about, we bring about. And I will have to say, though, in this system, in this program, we have a little wiggle room. Because if we think a complaint or we think something and we don't utter it, we're good to go. We haven't said it, so we get a free pass. But be totally aware, though, that if you're thinking it, the knee-jerk reaction pretty much will be that it will be followed by words. So obviously you've got to back up and be aware of your thinking. I've had quite a bit of discussions with people over the years, and we look at different folks in our lives, ourselves and other people, and we say, is there some people just seem to come into this earth plane just naturally positive. And some people tend to come in as naturally negative. Is that something we are born with? That's in our DNA? Is it something that we learn in our environment, that we pick up, when we're little kids? It's hard to know. How do we know where it comes from? But you'll notice that many people have a propensity to be one way or the other, to see the glass half full or half empty. I want to tell you the story about a fellow who falls into that category of seeing the glass half empty. The guy gets a new dog. He's a nice Jewish dog, and he names him Einstein. He trains Einstein to do all sorts of tricks, and he can't wait to show Einstein off to his neighbor. So a few weeks later, when the neighbor finally comes over, the guy calls Einstein into the house, bragging about how smarty he is. So the dog quickly runs in, he's wagging his tail, he's looking up at his master, mouth open, tongue hanging out, eyes bright with anticipation. And the guy points to the newspaper that's on the couch and he commands, "Fetch." Immediately, the dog climbs onto the couch, sits with his tail wagging furiously, and then all of a sudden, he stops. His doggy smile disappears. He starts to frown and put on a sour face. Looking up at his master, he whines. "You think this is easy, wagging my tail all the time? Oy vey! You think it's easy just eating all that junk that you call designer dog food? Forget it. It's too salty. It gives me gas. It's disgusting, I tell you." The neighbor is amazed. He goes, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Your dog is a miracle. Einstein can speak. His dog actually speaks. You ask him to fetch the newspaper, and here he is sitting on the sofa talking to us." I know, says the owner. He's not yet fully trained. He thought I said kvetch. That's bad.
Perfect.
Is that a complaint?
All right.
Move it over. How does complaining affect our relationships? Well, this one is a little bitter pill to swallow in a way, because we look at people and what do we see? We see something negative, something that's, not right, something they could do better, all this kind of thing. Like attracts like. If you see it in the other person, obviously there's some sort of element of you there. It's that old adage, when we point the finger at someone, we have three pointing back at us. So be aware, the people that you are associating with, more than likely, birds of a feather flock together. And if you are around a complainer, there is some reason for that attraction. I wanted to share with you one of the things in the book that he talks about. He talks about this word called triangulation. Do you know what that means? Triangle, three-pointed thing, right? Well, what he talks about is the fact that the way this happens is that, okay, you and I are talking, and we're talking about this other person that's not here. Okay? That's called gossiping, right? Many times we do this. Oh, we'll bring up so-and-so, and oh, did you know that, da-da-da-da-da, right? Well, I want to read to you an example of what he talks about as a triangulation. Triangulation is rampant in some churches, not in this one. I recently heard of one minister talking to another minister about the way the third minister was leading the church. After several minutes of this harangue, the listener, who had remained silent until that point, pressed the speaker button on his phone and called the minister being viled, V-I-L-I-F-I-E-D. Vilified, thank you. I said it earlier and you couldn't think of it. He then said, "Jim, this is Jerry. I'm sitting with Mike, and he was sharing some feelings he has about you and your church. I don't want to be a partner to triangulation, and I know that you love the feedback he's willing to share. So, Mike, here's Jerry." Mike sat in silent shock, his face blazing. In that moment, Mike got the message very clearly that talking about someone behind their back was out of integrity. And Jerry drew a healthy boundary, ensuring that he would no longer be included in Mike's gossip. How many of us have the nerve to do that? This explains why I lump gossip in with complaining. Am I opposed to gossip? Absolutely not. As long as, number one, what you're saying about the absent person is complimentary. 2, you would repeat word for word what you are saying if the absent person were present. Very, very important that we get that it's okay to talk about somebody else. It's okay to share what wonderful things are going on with another person. That's why I'm telling you all the time, when you walk up to a group of people and they say, "Oh, we were just talking about you." How many times did it happen? And what do most people say? They get all self-conscious. Oh my gosh, but you know what you're supposed to say? "Honey, you couldn't have had a better subject." You're talking about me, it's a great subject. That's what all of us should be saying. The easiest thing to get over and avoid and through the idea of complaining is to know that God is in charge, that all is well, that everything is going in the perfect order of the universe. This universe is held together. The stars are whirling around and doing all their thing. The tides are moving. You know, the earth is, everything is in perfect order, as are we. It's just our judgment about what we expect and the way it should be or the way it shouldn't be in life. I'm in the middle of it, and I'll be bringing more information about it later, Michael Singer's book, The Surrender Experiment. And it's this idea that life is happening, and I'm part of it. Sometimes it's not happening on my agenda. Sometimes I have to step back and take a second look at what's happening now. I want to share with you one of the readings from The Science of Mind this month, and loving them, just loving these. And this one is entitled, If It's Funny Later, It's Funny Now. How many times have we had an experience where, you know, as a time of it, it's like we're freaking out over it, but we can even say, oh my gosh, I bet, you know, later on we're going to laugh about this, whatever it is, even though it's not fun at the moment. So he says, he gives a quote from Eric Butterworth, "Things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that matter are the things that happen in you." And then a quote from Science of Mind, "There is nothing in the universe that denies us the right to be happy." There are many moments where things don't go planned. A sense of humor truly helps in growing through these difficulties. It helps me expand my energy and relax rather than contract and gripe. Easier said than done, but like everything, it's a spiritual practice. If something goes wrong or there's an unexpected turn of events, I remember my favorite quote by John Roger. If it's going to be funny later, it's funny now. It's about letting go of prejudgments of how things are supposed to be and going with the flow of what is. During the recent Unity at Sea cruise, our group arrived in Puerto Rico for a service day, and it started pouring torrential rain. We huddled underneath the insufficient tents like sardines, questioning if we should cancel and go back to the ship. But we stuck together and followed through. We laughed, took pictures, and went on with our projects, which ended up being the highlight of the trip for many. If you've been around metaphysics for a while, you know that your attitude and the stories you tell yourself influence your experience. Even more so, those thoughts are part of the co-creation process with spirit, whether you're conscious of it or not. Directing our thinking is easier to do when we're consciously working on manifesting something, but it's helpful to have a go-to reminder that principle is working in the everyday life happens moments as well. So go ahead and give yourself permission to laugh now, because it's going to be funny later. And his affirmation is, taking dominion in my own consciousness, I am letting go of upset, embracing the present, and choosing my attitude. We are always at choice. We can let it go. We can just, how about if we be the type of person that we want to be around? How fun would that be? That's not too hard a thing to do, is it? Be the type of person you want to be around. You can laugh, just not at someone else's expense. I want us to remember that everyone, all of us, including me, including you, every one of us are doing the very best we can at every single moment. And yes, it may not be perfect. Compassion and forgiveness should be the tools that we use in our spiritual tool case daily, maybe hourly. Compassion and forgiveness for ourselves and for others. I want us to develop the mindset that life is for me. Life is for me. Yes, maybe there's a situation here that I didn't think I ordered up, that it's stretching me a little. Oh my goodness, you're up for it. So I had this friend yesterday come over. I think I told you she needed a bracelet right away. And she was saying how that she was living in a hotel because she had a flood in her condo. And she had to move out quickly and move into this hotel. And because Comic-Con, I guess, is coming, there's lots of, not many places open, I guess, in San Diego to move into, in a hotel-wise. So they put her up in the Hilton at Torrey Pines. Beautiful facility. Gorgeous, right? And she said, and so I went down for dinner, in the restaurant. She goes, I had a beautiful meal. $38 for my dinner last night. And she got to realizing that, well, because she's going to be there well over a week, because they're having to replace all of her flooring. And she says, I realized that my budget just isn't up for spending this much money every single time I have a meal. And so she said, before I came over here, Gay, I stopped at Trader Joe's and I picked up some things, so I can have in the room. There's a little refrigerator there, and I can, make up some things and have bananas and, things that I can eat so that I don't have to go purchase this meal all the time. And I told her, I said, well, you know what? This is really a godsend that this happened, because she's going to be putting her condo on the market in the next few months. And I said, this is great. You're getting an automatic brand new flooring, to upgrade your condo. And she said, yes, that's true. And I do have a very high deductible that I have to pay. But she knows I'm in insurance. She said, but they said something about really the whole cause of it was from the condominium association. So they're saying something about subrogation. And I said, yeah, see, you'll eventually go back to their policy and, you'll be reimbursed for your deductible. It takes a little while, for that kind of thing to happen, but it does. And so this is great. You're going to be able to have new flooring. And honestly, what she was telling me is that she even has a potential buyer for her condo. She's had somebody years ago said to her, if you ever sell this place, let me know. So she gave him a call. And so before she picked out the flooring, she gave him a call. She sent him a picture. I'm choosing between this one and this one. Which one do you like? You talk about someone that is positive and directing their future. Like, no, oh, woe is me. Oh my gosh, whatever. I had a beautiful salmon dinner for $38. It'd probably be the last salmon dinner that I had there, but it was a great dinner. It's just that type of attitude, that type of accepting what is and moving forward in life. That can keep us going up these rungs of unconscious incompetence to unconscious competency. That's what it takes. It takes little by little. It takes step by step, recognizing it. And then I want you to look back and pat yourself on the back when you do these kind of things. When you say, you know what? I'm glad that I didn't react that certain way that in the past I could have done. I'm making progress. Know that life is for us all the time. Absolutely. And that it is nowhere else other than where we are. It's not outside of us somewhere. We don't have to beg and plead and cajole. It's right here. We just need to trust it. We need to let ourselves be this love, this joy, this beautiful experience in expression. And be happy about it. Do it with grace. Do it with joy. Be the type of person you want to be around. Think about that. Make a list. Check it off twice. Have a great week this week. Get your little bracelet if you don't have it yet, so that you can become more aware of moving up the rung, seeing the type of person that you want to be around, living with that type of person, day in and day out, hour by hour. Have that joy. Have that blessing. Be that love and expression. That's what I know for you this week. Namaste.